Is Putin beginning a deadly retaliation after Russia accused Ukraine of risking a nuclear disaster with a drone incident near the Zaporizhzhia plant? Putin appears to be answering one of the biggest attacks on Moscow with a wave of Iskander missile strikes on Ukraine. Multiple regions were hit after Zelensky confirmed a large-scale strike on Moscow, in what looks like a new phase of escalation.
Today, the defense forces of Ukraine, our security service of Ukraine, and our intelligence have worked on a very large scale in the Moscow region. A good deep strike wave of ours. The distance of the targets this time was more than 500 kilometers, which is significant.
Russia appears to have retaliated after what was described as one of Ukraine's largest drone attacks targeting Moscow city. Russian forces reportedly launched simultaneous drone and missile assaults across parts of Ukraine amid the continuing war. The Kyiv Independent reported on May 18 that central and southern regions of Ukraine came under attack overnight. Officials said the overnight strikes injured at least 20 people, including 2 children. According to the Kyiv Independent, multiple explosions were heard in Dnipro between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. The attacks came as Ukraine's Air Force warned that Russian missiles were approaching the city. The governor of Dnipropetrovsk Oblast said a 24-story residential building was struck in the assault. Several separate fire incidents were also reported across the city, according to the Kyiv Independent. Alexander Hanjar said, and I quote, "At least 18 people, including 2 children, were injured in Dnipro, with 8 of the injured victims requiring hospitalization classified as in moderate condition." Unquote. Officials later said that at least 6 Iskander-K cruise missiles were used in the attack. Press TV reported that 10 Iskander-M ballistic missiles were also launched at the city. Separately, Russian drones struck residential buildings in the southern port city of Odesa. The Kyiv Independent said the attack injured an 11-year-old boy and a 59-year-old man. The Primorsky and Kyivsky districts of Odesa were reportedly hit in the Russian assault. Ukraine carried out a large-scale drone strike on Moscow, something Zelensky confirmed on May 17. The Ukrainian president described the strike as part of Kyiv's response to ongoing Russian attacks.
Today, the defense forces of Ukraine, our security service of Ukraine, and our intelligence have worked on a very large scale in the Moscow region. A good deep strike wave of ours. The distance of the targets this time was more than 500 kilometers, which is significant because the Moscow region is the most saturated with Russian air defense assets. They protect their realm of power the most. But Ukrainian long-range steps are already overcoming this. As I said yesterday, the Russians need to think about their refineries, their oil facilities, their enterprises, and not about how to disrupt the lives of other peoples in Ukraine, Moldova, or any other neighboring country. Today, the activity indicators show that our proactive operations per day are higher than those of the Russians, and this is a very serious result. We will increase all forms of supply for our army, drones, ground robots, shells, all resources to maintain proper protection, and our active frontline operations.
At least 3 people were killed in the Moscow region, while a 4th person died in Belgorod. Russia's defense ministry said more than 1,000 Ukrainian drones had been shot down across the country. TASS, citing Russian officials, also claimed that Ukraine lost 6,500 soldiers and mercenaries over the past week. Russia on May 16 accused the Ukrainian military of attacking the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. A drone allegedly fell near the plant's power units but did not detonate, according to the ZNPP statement. Zaporizhzhia NPP statement said, and I quote, "The Ukrainian military carried out an attack on the territory of the Zaporizhzhia NPP. A UAV of the Ukrainian armed forces fell near the plant's power units. The drone did not detonate upon falling." Unquote. Rosatom chief Alexei Lukashev said Ukraine targeted a pipeline in the immediate vicinity of the reactors and injured 2 employees. Alexei Lukashev said, and I quote, "The employees were carrying out their duties at the time. Even this didn't stop the enemy. For an hour, combat drones prevented ambulances from reaching the attack site, and the evacuation of the wounded resembled a military operation. Unquote. Russia's defense ministry said on May 16 that its forces had captured 2 settlements in the region. Borovaya and Kutkovka were taken by Russian forces, the Russian defense ministry claimed. Russian defense ministry said, and I quote, "Units of Battle Group West, as a result of active operations, liberated the settlements of Borovaya and Kutkovka in the Kharkiv region." Unquote. TASS, citing the Russian defense ministry, said Ukraine lost 1,045 servicemen over the past day. The same Russian statement also claimed its air defenses downed multiple aerial bombs and UAVs. Over the course of Wednesday and Thursday, Russian forces launched in excess of 1,400 drones, along with 56 cruise and ballistic missiles into Ukrainian airspace, representing an unprecedented intensity of aerial assault. That extraordinary barrage constituted the largest concentrated attack on Ukraine within any 48-hour window since the conflict began, overwhelming air defenses and causing widespread destruction. According to CNN, air raid sirens blared intermittently for roughly 11 hours through Wednesday and into the overnight hours, keeping civilians hunkered down and emergency services stretched to the limit. At least 16 people lost their lives when a strike flattened part of a 9-story residential building in Kyiv, a lethal blow that devastated families and left neighbors searching through rubble. Ukrainian authorities warned that survivors may still be trapped beneath the debris of the collapsed block, and rescue teams continued desperate searches amid unstable wreckage and falling masonry.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.